welcome to another edition of SportFitHub. Today we're excited to have Evan Wishloff on our episode today. Kind of twofold. Evan is extreme cyclist, done a lot of amazing events, which we'll hopefully hear about today. But also, Evan is into marketing, and he can fix my terminology, but currently at Campers Village when they reopen, but has done some work and kind of ties into some exciting news for Aerobic Power and what they'll be able to show off after this episode. So without further ado, we'll introduce Evan. We'll get into the cool stuff first. I suppose you might think the marketing and stuff's cool, but I think the cycling's cool. So we'll start with the cycling. And I know you told me a cool story about how you got into it, and I was amazed at the age, because just around here it usually doesn't happen at that age. So why don't you let everyone know how you found the two wheels?
Yeah, so I used to play a lot of hockey growing up, so kind of AA level. I don't know if you call that high-ish end, but anyways, tons of hockey. And my dad actually used to ride mountain bikes with a couple buddies, and I'm sure anyone who's in the mountain biking community in Alberta has heard of the 24-hour race in Canmore. Unfortunately gone now, but that was kind of the best race, or the biggest race. You could enter a team. So my dad always did it with some friends on a relay team. And I would have been 12 at the time, and just went with my mom to watch the race, cheer on my dad. And it was just the stark contrast between hockey, where you have your team who you love, but then you hate everyone else, and there's just all this bravado and anger. And then cycling, where you'd have people crossing the finish line that were just racing each other, and all of a sudden they're sitting together having a beer after. So it just seemed so different and unique and weird that I was like, oh, I should give this a try. So started mountain biking the next year, just to try to stay in shape for hockey, but quickly got sucked into racing, and cycling quickly became my favorite sport out of the sports that I was doing. So from the age of 13 on, just started racing. I did the 24 hours on a 5-person team that year. And I think all the Alberta Cups, or most of the Alberta cross-country races around the province, and never looked back.
We all like to, we've all suffered, and so we like to share in other people's misery. You had interesting experience. Was it your first attempt at going solo at 24 hours?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've been asked a lot of times why, but when I was in high school, I just got it in my head that I wanted to do the 24 hours solo, because doing it on the 5-person team wasn't enough suffering, I guess, or I was just mystified by watching the people who were doing it solo. So they had an age limit where you had to be 18 to do it solo. So I waited until I was 18 and decided to give that a go. And it was a lot harder than I was expecting. All through the day, not a problem. The first 8 or 10 hours, you're just kind of out for a ride, pretty leisurely pace, or at least what I thought was a leisurely pace. And then the night hits, and it's kind of fun because it's different and unique, and you're riding at night with lights. And it was usually, actually, in all the times I've done it since, it's that 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. window where things go real south. And the first time I did it, I was doing, I don't know, maybe hour 30, hour 40 laps. So pretty laid back pace. And I'd come through the pits at maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, and my parents were my pit crew at the time, and I told them, like, hey, can you order a pizza for the next time I come through? Like, I wouldn't mind having a slice of pizza before heading out on another lap. So like, oh yeah, no problem. They looked at, how long all my laps were taking me at the time. So I went out for that lap, and I don't remember much of it, but I wasn't in a good spot. So usually it would be, an hour 30, hour 40. If it went really bad, it might have been a 2-hour lap. And I rolled into the pits a little over 3 hours after leaving for the first time, and just collapsed on the ground in front of the tent, and just fell asleep and didn't wake up till the next morning at maybe 9 a.m. or something like that. And my legs couldn't move. I was just a wreck. So the first 24 hours for me only ended up being 16 or 17 hours. And then I had to do it again for some weird reason, because I'd failed.
And who got the pizza that night?
I'm assuming my pit crew ate it. I don't even remember. I don't remember much from that. It was all a bit of a zombie-like blur.
Now, you've had some pretty exciting, successful stories too. One I know of, and there's probably others, but the Cape Epic is one of those events that people save up a lot of money for, train a lot for, and then travel across the world to take on that. I think it's a 7-day event.
Yeah, 8 days.
8 days.
The first year of the Cape Epic, or that I raced the Cape Epic, I just kind of lucked out and won an entry to the
Wow.
event. And so I think I'd done the Fernie or Furious 3 in Fernie, 3-day mountain bike race, but I'd never done 8 days or 7 days. I'd never done that many days of racing, but it was one of those things where you win it, and it's such an expensive event to get to that I was like, well, you got to do it now. So found a partner, Chris Coleman, which was awesome. I used to work with him at Pedalhead Bicycle Works and have ridden and raced with him lots, and just started training for 8 days of mountain biking. So the Cape Epic route changes every year, but it's anywhere from 700 to 800 kilometers of mountain biking spread out over 8 days. So had no idea what to expect the first year going into it. We were kind of thinking, in our planning for it, we thought, most days will be 4 or 5 hours, and maybe the longest day will be a 6 or 7 hour day on the mountain bike. And the race starts with a prologue to seed all the racers, because there's about 1,200 racers as a part of it. So it's a short 20-kilometer day that you kind of do as a almost team time trial on the mountain bike. But then the second day hit, and it was whatever it was, 100, 105 kilometers. With lots of climbing, and we thought, it'll be one of the longer days, and we finished the day in 9 hours and realized we were in a little over our head for the distances, and a lot or way off on how long each day was going to take us. But at that point, there was nothing you could do but just put your head down. And I think a big part of it was just knowing how much I'd spent on the plane ticket and training just to get there that kept me going to the finish.
Any big ones coming up that, well, when things get sort of back to normal?
Yeah, I'm hoping to do, I was going to do a 24-hour race in Oregon this year. It's be my first time doing a solo race in a long time for 24 hours. So that was going to be the big event. Unfortunately, that'll be a 2021 thing now, I think. But there was a race called the BC Epic 1000, which is kind of like an unofficial or casual bike packing race. So self-supported from Merritt, BC to Fernie. Just a little over 1,000 kilometers, and I had a friend who lives out in Kelowna that wanted to do that. So the official event is canceled, but the way that event worked is you just have to submit your time or your GPS file to prove you did it, because they can't have course marshals or anything like that, obviously, for 1,000 kilometers. And the race organizer did say if the parks are open and if you're able to do so, and it falls within all the public health orders, you can still do the event this year anytime throughout the spring or summer. So hoping to do that late June or early July, sometime around there, which I've never done a self-supported race like that either. So that'll be interesting. It's Cape Epic miles, except instead of the amazing race village where they have, massage therapists and dinner made for you and your tent set up. This one, you just have to have everything with you on your bike.
And you do come with a little bit of knowledge about that stuff, do you not? Again, before all these unfortunate layoffs, you were at Campers Village doing their marketing and media type work.
Yeah, it was going to be a cool piece. That was actually how I got roped into the BC Epic, because a bike packing race was never something on my radar as what I really wanted to do. But kind of the stars all aligned, and there's a few brands at Campers Village that wanted to feature some of their products, like lightweight tents and the kind of stuff that you need for bike packing that just translates into backpacking as well. So we're going to do, and probably still will do, a cool little video project and just featuring some of these products and showing, what you need to travel, whether it's 1,000K or it's just 10 kilometers to a backcountry campsite hiking. A bunch of different products that you can use. So I definitely will have good gear for this, which is a big piece of it.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit easier, especially as the better the gear, probably the lighter it is.
Exactly. Yeah, the lighter the better, because there's a lot of climbing on that route.
So I kind of first got onto your skill set when you were doing our off-season cycling strength program at Propel. We were working on, or I guess mostly you, were working on a documentary. We were just going to highlight a newer cyclist in our program and kind of follow them through the strength training. And and then into his first race. So would have been very exciting and cool. And like a lot of events, maybe that'll be a 2021 now. But from there, not knowing your skill set, I tried to maximize, or what do you say, utilize that more. And you've been extremely generous with that. And with the ATB cycling program that I'm involved with, obviously that had to become virtual. And with that, we had to do a lot of how-to videos. We have a lot of beginner riders all the way to advanced in that program. So how-to videos from as far as looking for a bike all the way up into, some advanced bike handling skills. So that is on also on the Kevin Masters YouTube channel, and Evan's editing work and intros and outros have covered up all the bad, let's call it acting work on my part. So they looked really good, but that was also thanks to Evan, and so that's been fun and exciting, and seeing his skills. Have you always been into this type of stuff? Is that something you came through school with, or now just skills you've developed because you've now recently become interested in it?
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into all the marketing side of things way back. I grew up in the town of Devon, and I was on one of the founding members of the Devon Bicycle Association back when cycling was just kind of starting up in that town with more infrastructure and support and things like that. And I just kind of, based on putting my hand up when people needed volunteers to do the social media for the organization, just ended up on the social media side. So that was, fresh out of high school, just trying to help get this organization off the ground. But that always interested me, like telling the stories of these different clubs or brands or things like that. The storytelling aspect, just creating that exciting, interesting content was always something that interested me. So it took a little while after that before I ended up going to school for marketing. But did that and spent some time working at the Tour of Alberta in the last 3 years of that event, doing some of the event operations, but also a lot of their marketing in the last year. And then now with Campers Village, which has been a lot of fun because it's those outdoor specific or adventure specific brands that really have some cool brand stories to tell that I can kind of understand. So a big piece of what I do is always just trying to find those ways to tell a brand story uniquely, share what a business is about, because content marketing has become so huge now. Like over half of the people who are looking online for things look for pieces of content now, as opposed to just a product image page or a service page. They want to hear the story behind it. They want to know what other people are experiencing and things like that. And that just recently, in the last maybe 7 or 8 months, has led into the video work, because a lot more video is being published online. A lot more people are looking for videos to learn about things. So the video stuff has been really fun. And there's definitely a steep learning curve, but we're getting there. And, the ATV videos have worked out quite well. So lots of fun.
So it seems like there's, to me, it is marketing, getting the word out. But now with how things operate, and especially now with everything going online because of our situation, it seems like people in your shoes require a very large toolbox. Like I know you've done something for us here that we're launching shortly that we're excited about. So that's one area. The video, the editing, there must be some writing, I suppose, for websites. What all? I guess maybe what do you enjoy about it, or what do you consider your strengths with it, and what's sort of involved with the whole scope of, if you want to call it, social media and marketing work?
Yeah, I think the fact that it's just so fast changing keeps it kind of fun and interesting. There's never a dull moment, because if you sit back and just kind of rest on the work that you've done in the past or how you know how to do things, you just get passed by the way things change, like whether that's social media and how even just the way people use social media platforms has changed so much. Facebook in the last 10 years has changed from somewhere where you just kind of say, oh, today I ate this delicious piece of cake or whatever, to now people are sharing like video vlogs or ranting about politics or who knows what. But the way people use these platforms is constantly changing, and there's new platforms coming and going all the time. If you first had a business page on Facebook when it first started to take off, all you would need to do is just post every once in a while, write something out. and you were winning. Like people would click through and read your stuff and visit your website or something like that. Whereas now, if you don't have a picture or a video in your post, it may as well not be seen by anyone, chances are, or if it's seen, people just scroll right past it. So it's been really fun to kind of come up with what can you create or what can I create that's enticing, that's going to, I call it like thumb stopping, because, you know, people are always scrolling on their phones quickly. What's going to cause them to stop that scroll just to actually look at that piece of content and hopefully interact with the business or the organization or the person or any of that stuff. So I've done a little bit of moonlighting kind of part-time just for friends of friends, word of mouth in the past for some web design, because I've always enjoyed some of the graphic design stuff, and I can make a decent website for any small or medium-sized business that's, you know, up to all the standards of today. So it looks good on a mobile phone, it looks good on a computer, and it's all search engine optimized. But then the things like video production, graphic design, copywriting, all the kind of fun storytelling elements that fit within a brand's overall story.
Wow. So yeah, with on that note, we're gonna launch. Or we've kind of, it's been dormant for a little bit. Been working on a smaller scale with Aerobic Power, but excited to, I guess, get or build that up again, expand that, be able to offer more again. So Evan has, we're gonna, after this episode, we're gonna launch our Aerobic Power website, which Evan has done, and we're very excited about that. And he's right; it even looks equally good on the phone, and that's one of the things I actually noticed, because you do come across a lot that maybe it's probably just someone overlooking that, but you look at it on the computer and then you go to your phone, and it just seems to be all over the place. So it's not knowing anything, when I looked at it on my phone, and being very simple, I thought that was a very cool thing, how it all of a sudden just switched to more vertical, and everything did what it was supposed to do on the phone. So very cool, and we owe them a lot for that. In terms of your work, after they see how awesome the website is and our ATV bike videos, you were, with this downtime, kind of have a special work offer going, that we were going to put out to all the listeners, if you wanted to explain that.
Yeah, so just in all this time kind of doing some freelance marketing, so whether that's, you know, web design or graphic design or like social media strategy, video production, all that stuff, I just wanted to help more, you know, smaller, medium-sized businesses. I mean, the large businesses have full-time staff that only work on that stuff for them. So smaller businesses, I know everyone's been impacted a lot by all this shutdowns, quarantines. So just for, I guess, yeah, listeners of your show, this is your first exclusive offer on your podcast. We'll do like a pay what you can program. So just kind of trusting that, you know, if you're a small business owner, or if you're managing a small business and you need some help right now to kind of up your online game, because right now, you know, especially if you had a business that didn't really have any online presence, right now you'd be really hurting, because you just can't rely on those in-person foot traffic visits. So just doing a pay what you can program where, you know, shoot me an email or talk to me and we can kind of figure out what you might need or what I could help you with. And then, you know, if you're a small business that doesn't have the funds right now, we can either work out, you know, maybe you can give me a cool demo of your product or whatever, train me, coach me, or just, you know, pay what you can, even if that's a really small amount of money, just so that you can kind of help get these businesses online and help them out, and, you know, build my portfolio. And hopefully down the line, when things return to normal, if people are impressed with the work, then they can pay a little bit more down the line.
Awesome. Well, we'll be excited to get that out. I will include any contact info that people will need at the end of this, as I usually do, and then yeah, they can reach out to you. So that sounds awesome. I know there's a number, you just, like you said, some thumb through, and there are a lot of different small businesses shooting up everywhere, just because people are needing to diversify from what they might normally be doing, whether it be starting a brand new one or just now developing a different area of their current business because, you know, they can't go storefront or other things like that. So I'm sure there's lots of need for this. So thank you for that, and we'll get that out to everybody. So I guess with that, we've talked bikes, talk business. We'll let you get on that bike behind you, and we'll say goodbye and thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Evan.